Hi guys, welcome back to Saving Salvage and welcome back to the channel, and we're going to get straight back into it in today's video guys, and we are going to crack on with the RS4 rebuild. I'm hoping to obviously get the remaining 4 pistons into the block, and then we will either, I don't know whether to start building up the heads or start rebuilding the bottom end. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll crack on and we'll see how we get on. So as always guys, if you do enjoy these videos, please do not forget to like and subscribe. And also I've had a few emails from you guys saying that you couldn't turn your bell notifications on because it come up with my channel has made content made for kids or something. I'm not too sure what that's about. I've spoke to YouTube and they've advised, bit of a pain in the ass, but they've advised to unsubscribe from me and resubscribe, and then you should be able to turn the bell notifications on. So that's just to address a few of you guys that have emailed me saying you couldn't do that. So let's crack on with today's video on the RS4. So all 8 pistons are now in situ. They are all in position, all sat on the crank, and I've put the caps back on and I've screwed them in just finger tight at the moment. So they're all in. I just need to now torque them up. I've just got the torque setting, which is 40 Newton meters plus 120 degrees. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to torque them up properly. So then that part of the engine is done. And I did say a minute ago that I didn't know whether to build up the head or the bottom end first. And I have decided I'm going to rebuild the bottom end first, get that back together, because then I can rest the engine back onto the subframe, which means I can remove the engine crane, and that will give me a lot more room and access without these chains. And also the engine would be secure as well, so then I can rebuild the head. Just makes it a lot easier, because at the minute, obviously I've got this ratchet strap, it's just, it's in the way, that's in the way, the engine moves too much, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. So we're going to do the bottom end, build that back up, and then, as I say, stick it back on my subframe. And then what I'll do is, because I'm too impatient, I will probably get my dad or something just to hold these timing chains up like that, both sides. Then we can hopefully turn the engine over and it will turn over fully with no issues. And then we will be halfway to getting this engine kind of back to normal. So we'll start with torquing up the conrods. So I'm going to start with the ones that I can see. It's just probably going to be easier, although it's going to get confusing about what ones I've done. So 10 mil, 40 Newton meters. We'll just set that up. So we'll set up for 40 Newton meters. No, I'm just going to do it one by one, otherwise I'm going to get really confused about what's going on. So I'm just going to turn it a little bit. This way. This one, get both of the first ones. So locked on at 40. It's going to be interesting because the engine's going to swing. Oh, this is getting very interesting. Whose idea was this? Use me head. Ow! Right, that's it. I need assistance. So now all the conrod bolts are all done up to 40 Newton meters plus 120 degrees. So they are all in position. So now what we need to do is go ahead and fit like the second sump with the oil pump drive and the oil pump. So what I'm going to do first is just to get rid of all the leftover silicone from the last time it was fitted. And to do this, I am going to use predominantly a brass brush, purely because I bought a whole bag of them and they do work quite well. I mean, as you can see here, I've just started doing it and that literally took 10 seconds to get that far. So what I'll do is the bits that are just stuck on the big clumps of silicone, I'll use a Stanley blade just to get off, and then I'll just go over it with this wire brush, because then it doesn't lose, it doesn't break into any of the, it doesn't smooth off any of the roughness, so the silicone has something to attach to. So I'm going to start doing that, and you can watch. Right, so now the next thing I've cleaned up all here, everything's all perfectly clean around the bottom of the block now. So the next thing I'm going to fit now is my like crank block plastic plate cover thing. So I'm just going to wipe it down a bit. Now we are going to fit it to, what does this go particularly around? I do not know. I'm going to guess this way. Yes. There we go. So I have just stuck the oil pump back on as well. It's only 3 bolts. I've just put it into position because I don't know if you remember when I removed it, Elsa was saying that I had to remove all the timing chain cover, which is here, and all the chains and everything to remove the oil pump. So I didn't want to do that because it was probably another few hours work. So I took a punt and thought, well, I'd try and just remove the second sump and hope the oil pump will come with it. And it did when I removed it, so I was like, sweet, saved myself a lot of ag. But it might be a bit complicated when fitting it back together. So looking here, can you see on the camera? So looking here, you can see the oil pump runs really close to where the second sump fits. And I was a bit concerned that it would be in the way and it'd be very difficult to fit. However, I have just got the sump and I have just married it up, and it does look like it will just basically tuck under the lip of the oil pump and just fit into place. So I'm hoping that will be okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is we're going to clean up the the top surface of the second sump where it marries to that, and then we can silicone bead all around and fit it. I have been spending a lot of time studying Elsa Win, just to make sure I've got all rubber seals all correct and present. There's also a few dowels that need to be present as well to locate the second sump. So I'm just 100% making sure I've got everything, because I do not want to have to strip this engine again because I left off one dowel or an O-ring loose or anything like that. So yeah, let's crack on and clean up the second sump. So the time has come to fit the second sump, or the upper sump. So I have fitted, as I said before, I've fitted the oil pump. I think I'll be okay just to kind of hook it in behind that. I did do a test fit and it did come out okay. So we've also fitted our plastic crank cover case as well. We've got our dowel pins. There's one there. There's one at the back there, and there's also one that's still in the upper sump as well, so that's fine. So what I've got to do now is install my O-rings here, and I'll store them in, 4 of them, and then we can run a bead of sealant all the way around the top. I think we have to actually run it along this bit. I've got my computer here, look, as you can see it tells me exactly where to run the sealant. So that is what we're going to do now. I've already cleaned up all the top there. You didn't need to watch me do that again. It gets a bit boring watching me clean stuff. So that's all done, all cleaned and ready to fit. So we are going to now just fit the O-rings put some sealant on and go for the upper section. So I've just fitted the 4 little gaskets to the block, and I've refitted the little gasket here as well. So just looking at, I've cleaned all this up, this is all good to go. So looking at Elsa Win, I've got my bead of silicone. What I've got to do, it also says it only needs to be 2.5 millimeters thick, the bead. Any more and it could go, or it could spread and get stuck in crevices, I guess. But 2.5 mil isn't very big at all. It's literally tiny. I did kind of measure it, it's about 2.5 mil, but it is small. So I'm now just gonna follow the little diagram and go round. This is going to be very tricky to do on my own, but I will give it a go. Installation of second sump. Bloody hell. Now I'm stuck. Oh, I can't do this. I generally can't do this on my own. I generally cannot do this on my own. Come on. Come on. Faster! Jesus Christ, that was very difficult. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing a good bead of silicone. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. So second sump or upper sump is all now fully in position. All the bolts are in and I've double checked them all. They are all nice and tight and torqued up to their specific settings. So it turns out this little valve here is actually an oil retention valve. I assume that makes sense, but it just looked, because of this hole up here, that looked very coolanty, purely because how clean it is. So, could have something to do with water, I suppose. Or actually, it could have nothing to do with, oh no. Sorry, cleaned up everything here now. So we are ready to fit. I've cleaned up all my oil retention valve. So I'm now just going to get a few little bolts. The gasket's all in position and all good. A few little bolts and fit this in. Quickly clean that up as well. And what I'm going to do is just put a smidge of oil around it so it glides on. There we go, beautiful. your retention valve all in position. Nut shall go. Like so. Last but not least, to go on the bottom is my oil pickup pipe, which I'm just going to clean off now. I'm just going to blast the air line through this because I don't want anything stuck in the gauze. A bit of oil. Right, that is hopefully all a bit done bottom wise, so all we've got to do now is just clean up the bottom and fit the sump. Job done. Right, so off camera I have just cleaned up all the top sump, the bottom half of it, got off the silicone residue. I have also cleaned up the sump, and I have already put a bead of silicone around it 30 seconds ago, so it is ready to fit. I've cleaned everything under here, double checked, all bolts are in, gaskets all done up tight, bead of silicone around my sump, got a bolt ready and the gun, so now we are going to fit it. Hopefully this should be a bit easier than the other one. He says, famous last words. Oh. Right, so that gun up there. Is that good up there? No. Where's it going? Just up here, is it? That was horrible doing these. Actually, it's nice doing them as long as it goes well. It's when you fit it and then it starts moving around, that's when it's horrible. Right guys, so we have got quite a lot done in today's video. We've got fitted the remaining 4 pistons, we've fitted the upper sump, and we have upper sump here, and we have fitted the lower sump and all oil pumps, drives, ancillaries, etc., which go in the bottom of the engine. So made some good progress, and that is now the bottom of the engine complete. So guys, that is it for today's video. As I said, we got quite a bit done, which means hopefully in the next couple of videos we may be able to start, or hopefully start the RS4. So in the next video guys, what we will be doing is just finish off fitting the ancillaries which go along the bottom of the engine here. So it's water pump, bracket for the alternator, and AC, I believe. Fit those, and then what we'll do is we'll transfer the engine over to the subframe down here, refit it on the subframe, get the gearbox on, and then once it's all nice and secure, we can start putting the heads on the engine, because that means the engine crane is out of the way and there's no straps getting in the way for those. And then we can get the heads on and we can go from there, guys. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.